Hold on. Wasn't Richie just there last week? Where did he go? Did he get abducted by aliens? Or did the writers just hit delete? If you've ever been watching your favorite shows and thought, wait, where did that character go? You're in the right place. Today, we're counting down 10 TV characters who vanished without a single goodbye. Some exits were confusing, some downright unbelievable, and one disappearance is so infamous fans are still talking about it today. From Judy Winslow on Family Matters to Chuck Cunningham on Happy Days, we'll explore the most shocking TV character disappearances. And yes, Richie Crawford's exit is one you won't see coming. So, let's get started. Number 10. Nick Moore, Family Ties.
I am like what they call an environmental artist. I make things out of trash, garbage, junk.
All right, let's kick things off with a character who at one point seemed destined for stardom. Nick Moore, Mallory Keaton's leather jacket-wearing, tough but lovable boyfriend. Now, here's the thing. Nick wasn't supposed to be anything more than a one-off character. Just a guy who shows up, makes an impression, and then disappears into the background. But the audience had other ideas. Suddenly, Nick became the guy everyone loved. The charming bad boy with the mischievous smile. You know the type? He could strum a guitar, make Mallory swoon, and somehow make you root for him at the same time. Overnight, he went from guest star to fan favorite. NBC noticed too, and this is where it gets interesting. The network tried to turn him into a star in his own right. And by tried, I mean they attempted not one, not two, but 3 spin-offs. Yep, 3. One focused on his grandfather, another placed him at a juvenile detention center, and the last had him moving to New York with his sister. Here's a fun tidbit for you. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was actually in that last one. Can you imagine that? The future Elaine from Seinfeld rubbing elbows with Nick Moore. Now, here's the kicker. Despite solid ratings for The Art of Being Nick, NBC passed. They didn't cancel because people hated it. They just didn't pick it up. After all that build-up, all the hype, Nick popped up briefly at the end of Season 7 of Family Ties, and then vanished. Just like that. No big farewell, no dramatic breakup, not even a single see you later. It's kind of wild when you think about it. Here's a character they spent years trying to turn into a star, someone the fans adored, and the writers couldn't even give him a proper goodbye. It's the perfect example of a character being loved into existence, only to be quietly erased when the spotlight moved elsewhere. So tell me, did you remember Nick Moore or did he slip your mind completely? Drop a comment down below, and if you're enjoying this countdown, make sure to hit that like button so we can keep diving into more baffling TV disappearances. Number 9. Tiffany Holloway, 227.
Mom, Brenda wants to play some cards.
Now, speaking of characters who just vanished, let's hop over to another show that tugged at our hearts in the early 80s. 227. You might remember Tiffany Holloway, Rose's sweet, bubbly daughter. She was a fixture in the first 2 seasons, best friends with Brenda, yes, Regina King, and a familiar face in the neighborhood. But then she disappeared. Just like that. No explanation. No, she's staying with Grandma. No, she transferred schools. One episode she's there, the next, poof. Rose, the loving mother, suddenly had no daughter at all. Now, here's the behind-the-scenes scoop, and it's a little heartbreaking. Kia Goodwin, who played Tiffany, actually left because her mom didn't like living in California. NBC released her from her contract, and the writers? Well, they didn't bother to craft an exit story. They just erased her, as if Tiffany had never existed. Imagine that for a second. A character you watched grow up, laugh, and play in the neighborhood suddenly gone. Like your mom just forgot you existed. That's the kind of bewildering TV mystery that keeps fans talking decades later. And just like Nick Moore from Family Ties, Tiffany's disappearance proves one thing. Sometimes networks and writers make decisions that leave the audience scratching their heads, wondering, wait, what just happened? Number 8. Amy Amanda Allen, the A-Team.
I got a plan that'll keep us together.
Let's go. Jace could be dead already.
We've seen Nick Moore vanish from Family Ties, Tiffany disappear from 227. Now let's talk about a character who didn't just fade quietly. She got booted from one of the most action-packed shows of the 80s. Yep, I'm talking about Amy Amanda Allen, or as fans affectionately called her, Triple A. Amy joined the A-Team in Season 1 as the fearless reporter, and she wasn't just a tag-along or some damsel in distress. She brought brains, guts, and even a little sass to every chaotic mission. She kept the team grounded while navigating the explosions, car chases, and Hannibal's wild plans. Fans loved her. She had wit, courage, and presence. But behind the cameras? Drama. Actress Melinda Kulea wanted Amy to be more than a note-taker. She wanted to join the action, to be in the thick of it alongside Hannibal, B.A., and Face. The producers didn't agree. And George Peppard, the star of the show, wasn't thrilled about sharing the spotlight with a woman. Tensions rose and the writers had a decision to make. By the middle of Season 2, it was over. Amy's exit? One line. She's on assignment in Jakarta. And that was it. Boom. Gone. No farewell episode, no wrap-up, nothing to let fans say goodbye. They even tried introducing another female character to fill the gap, but it just didn't work. And just like that, Amy Amanda Allen became one of TV's quietest and yet most baffling vanishing acts. One week she's outsmarting bad guys, the next she's completely erased from the team's universe. Did you ever notice Amy just vanished, or did it completely slip past you? Let us know in the comments below. And while Amy Amanda Allen's exit left fans stunned, wait until you see what happened to the youngest Winslow son on Family Matters. His disappearance takes vanishing to a whole new level. Number 7. Julie Cooper, One Day at a Time.
Mother dear, I want you to know I'm very sorry for my whole attitude.
From action-packed missions, let's shift gears to something a little closer to home. A character whose drama wasn't just on screen but behind the scenes as well. I'm talking about Julie Cooper, the fiery eldest daughter of Anne Romano on One Day at a Time. Julie wasn't just another character, you know the type. She had one of the juiciest storylines on the show. Marriage, a baby, heartbreak, and all the family drama in between. She had a personality that could fill a room, and her storylines kept fans tuning in week after week. But as we've seen before, sometimes real life doesn't follow the script. Actress Mackenzie Phillips was struggling with substance abuse, and it started affecting the show. She was fired, rehired, and then fired again. Eventually, the writers seemed to throw up their hands. Rather than creating a proper exit for Julie, they simply stopped writing her into the show. The result? Her disappearance was messy. Sometimes her absence was explained, other times, not at all. By the final season, Julie Cooper was gone, and the audience was left scratching their heads. Fans couldn't understand how a central, beloved character could just fade away without any closure. It's one of those rare cases where real-life drama completely eclipsed the scripted drama, leaving viewers to wonder, wait, what happened to Julie? It's frustrating, it's confusing, and honestly, it's one of the more unforgettable vanishing acts in TV history. Number 6. Richie Crawford, Family Matters.
Can I have a donut too?
Donut?
We're heading back into the world of classic family sitcoms, Family Matters. A show that was full of laughs, heart, and apparently disappearing acts. And one of the more surprising vanishing characters? Richie Crawford, the adorable youngest Winslow son. Richie was that kid everyone instantly loved, the one who could steal a scene without even trying. Full of charm, cute one-liners, and that mischievous spark that made you root for him immediately, he was Rachel Crawford's son and a fan favorite during the early seasons. Every episode you'd tune in expecting to see his antics, his clever little quips, and that infectious energy that brought a lighter, fun-loving vibe to the Winslow household. He wasn't trying to be the center of attention, he just naturally was. But as the show evolved, something changed. Steve Urkel, the nerdy neighbor who started out as a quirky side character, exploded into the show's superstar. Suddenly, it wasn't just watch the Winslows deal with family life. It was watch Steve Urkel create chaos with his time machines, clones, bizarre inventions, and transformation serums. The stories became wilder, zanier, and Richie Crawford's grounded, kid-next-door energy started to feel out of place. He didn't quite fit into the sci-fi, larger-than-life antics that dominated the later seasons. By season 9, Richie was simply gone. Just like that. No farewell episode, no explanation, no little see-you-later moment. And here's the strangest part. The show never acknowledged it. Richie was still technically living in the Winslow house, but the family and storylines acted as if he didn't exist. Imagine living in your own home, and suddenly everyone around you pretends you're invisible. That's exactly what happened to Richie Crawford on Family Matters. On the bright side, while Richie disappeared from our screens, actor Brighton James, who played him, certainly didn't disappear. He went on to have a successful acting career, including roles on The Young and The Restless, and earning multiple Daytime Emmy Awards. So even though Richie Crawford vanished from the Winslow household, Brighton Charbino's career definitely didn't vanish along with him. Richie's disappearance is another fascinating example of how TV can completely reshape its reality. One season, a character is a beloved, active part of the story. The next, they're gone, quietly written out to make room for new storylines or bigger, flashier characters. And while it might have confused or disappointed some fans at the time, it also reminds us that even the smallest, most grounded characters can leave a lasting impression, whether they're physically present on screen or not. We're only halfway through and things are about to get even crazier. If you're loving this countdown of bewildering TV disappearances, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Now, let's dive back in. Number 5. Martin Kendall, The Cosby Show. All right, now let's take a little detour from the classic sitcom kids and talk about a character whose disappearance was, well, a lot sneakier, but just as head-scratching. I'm talking about Martin Kendall, Denise Huxtable's husband, on The Cosby Show. When Martin first came onto the scene, you might have thought, okay, he's here to stay. He was this military guy, a father, and slowly, episode by episode, he started weaving himself into the Huxtable family's everyday life. He added something new to the show, romance, adult responsibility, and those little moments where he'd clash with the established rhythm of the Huxtable household. Fans were starting to accept him as part of the family like he had always been there, part of that cozy sitcom world we loved. But then, it all just kind of disappeared. Literally. By the final season, Martin was nowhere to be seen. One episode, he's suddenly stationed in Singapore. Denise goes off to follow him, and that's basically it. Gone. Poof. Their daughter, Olivia? She stays behind with the Huxtables. And here's the kicker. There's no proper farewell, no on-screen closure, nothing to explain to the audience why this character, who had been around for years, is just missing. And it doesn't stop there. The series finale drops another head-scratcher. Denise is pregnant with Martin's child. Sounds important, right? Except, you guessed it, neither Denise nor Martin actually shows up on screen. It's all just a phone call. That's it. One line of dialogue, and suddenly the story moves on like nothing happened. So, Martin Kendall's exit is the kind of disappearing act that sneaks up on you. It's subtle, it's quiet, and it leaves you sitting there thinking, wait, did I just miss something? Was he really gone? Unlike the big, dramatic character exits that slap you in the face, Martin's vanishing proves something interesting. Sometimes a character can disappear completely right under your nose, and you barely even realize it until later. Number 4. Coco, The Golden Girls.
That's fine, Rose. You do that. I don't mind at all.
Sure, Rose. Set a place at the table.
Now, here's one that even die-hard Golden Girls fans sometimes forget. Coco, the live-in cook and friend who appeared in the pilot episode. You remember him, right? The guy quietly bustling around the kitchen, keeping the household running, offering little nuggets of advice when needed. A calm, steady presence in a house full of larger-than-life personalities. At first glance, it seemed like he was going to be a permanent fixture in the ladies' lives. You might have even thought, Coco's going to be around for a while. He's part of the gang now, but then gone. Just like that. No explanation, no passing remark, not even a "he moved away" line. One episode he's there, and the next, nada. Vanished from the show's universe, leaving fans scratching their heads and whispering, "Wait, what happened to Coco?" So, why did it happen? The behind-the-scenes story is actually pretty fascinating. When the Golden Girls first launched, producers weren't entirely sure which characters would resonate most with audiences. They were testing the waters, feeling out the chemistry between the cast. And then along came Estelle Getty as Sophia, Dorothy's mother. And let me tell you, she blew everyone away. Audiences immediately fell in love with her sharp tongue, her no-nonsense attitude, and her impeccable comedic timing. The chemistry she had with Dorothy, Blanche, and Rose was electric, like fireworks on screen. She stole the spotlight, plain and simple. Now Coco, as charming as he was, suddenly seemed redundant. He wasn't bringing the same spark that Sophia brought. He wasn't adding new humor or tension. He was just filling space that could now be used to explore the relationships and dynamics between the four ladies. And just like that, the decision was made. Coco would quietly disappear, making way for the core cast to shine even brighter. What's really interesting about Coco's vanishing is what it says about television in general. Sometimes characters disappear not because of drama, ratings, or behind-the-scenes fights, but simply because the show evolves. The spotlight shifts, the story changes, and what seemed essential in episode 1 may suddenly feel unnecessary by episode 2. It's a reminder that TV is fluid. What works one week may not work the next, and sometimes characters are just edited out of existence. And think about it. Coco wasn't killed off, didn't move away, didn't quit. He just quietly faded into TV history. For fans watching decades later, it feels like a little mystery, a small puzzle. Wait, who was that guy again? And in trivia circles, that's exactly what he became, a forgotten, almost ghost-like figure in the Golden Girls universe. But if you thought Coco's sudden exit was surprising, buckle up. Next up, we're diving into a disappearance so bizarre it left an entire sitcom family scratching their heads, and audiences wondering if they'd just imagined the whole thing. And speaking of sudden vanishings, wait until you hear about a character on a classic 80s sitcom who popped up one episode and then completely disappeared without a trace. Number 3, 7. Married with Children.
Mommy, I can't sleep. Read me a story.
Oh boy. Now we're getting into one of the most infamous disappearing acts in sitcom history. 7 from Married with Children. And honestly, if his name doesn't immediately ring a bell, don't worry. You're definitely not alone. In fact, maybe it's for the best that most people have forgotten him. 7 was introduced in Season 7 as a brand new kid in the Bundy household. The network and writers claimed he was meant to freshen things up, inject some new energy, and maybe even appeal to a younger audience. On paper, it sounds like a clever idea, right? A cute new character to shake up the family. A little something to mix up the chaos that Al, Peggy, Kelly, and Bud were already creating. But in reality, well, it was an absolute disaster. Fans hated him, and I mean really hated him. 7 just didn't fit with the sarcastic, dysfunctional, everything-goes style of humor that had made the Bundys such an iconic sitcom family. He felt out of place, almost like he was from a different show entirely, and the audience let the network know it. Ratings started to dip, and Fox got nervous. They panicked. And the solution? They erased him. Completely. One episode he's at the dinner table, part of the family madness, maybe even cracking a joke or two. The next, gone. Just gone. No farewell, no, "we'll miss you, buddy." No story arc explaining where he went. Just nothing. And here's the funny part. The writers, in true Married with Children fashion, couldn't resist a little dark humor. Later on, they dropped an Easter egg that was basically a joke at Seven's expense. His face appeared on a milk carton marked "Missing." Only married with children could pull off something that's both sarcastic and self-aware, while also giving fans a little wink. But beyond that gag, he vanished as if he had never existed at all. What makes Seven's disappearance so fascinating is how it shows just how quickly TV reality can be rewritten. One day, you're a fully integrated character in a well-known household. The next, the network decides you don't belong, and suddenly, poof, you're erased from existence. And for the fans who actually tuned in during that season, it remains one of the most bizarre, abrupt, and almost comically strange vanishing acts in sitcom history. So, I've got to ask, did you even remember Seven? Or did he completely slip under your radar, lost to the annals of TV history? Drop a comment and let me know. And don't go anywhere, because next up we're diving into a family sitcom disappearance that makes Seven's vanishing look almost normal. Number 2. Judy Winslow, Family Matters.
I'm dead meat. You remember Mom's fancy dress with all the sparkly things on it?
So now we're stepping into what might just be the most infamous disappearing act in family sitcom history, Judy Winslow from Family Matters. And if you were a fan of the show back in the 90s, you might remember noticing something off. Something that didn't quite add up when you rewatched those episodes. Judy Winslow, the youngest of the Winslow kids, was a familiar presence for the first 4 seasons. She had her own little quirks, her funny moments, and was part of that classic family dynamic that made the Winslows feel so warm, so real, and so entertaining. You'd think that as the youngest, she'd stick around through all the Winslow chaos, through every Steve Urkel mishap, and every family crisis. And yet, she didn't. Then, almost overnight, Judy was gone. Completely. No explanation, no passing remark, not even a single joke or line to acknowledge her absence. One day, she's there, sitting at the table, doing homework, interacting with her brothers and parents. And the next? Gone. Her bedroom is still in the house. The set hasn't changed, but she's just vanished. Watching it now, it's bizarre. The Winslow family seems to carry on as if she never existed, and the audience is left scratching their heads. So, what really happened behind the scenes? Well, it all comes down to Steve Urkel. The quirky, nerdy neighbor went from being a side character to an absolute breakout star. He became the center of the show, dominating storylines and commanding all the screen time. Naturally, when Urkel's popularity exploded, other characters got pushed to the sidelines. And unfortunately for Judy, she was the first casualty of Urkel mania. The writers were simply following what audiences loved most, and poor Judy, well, she didn't make the cut. Judy Winslow's disappearance is still one of the strangest examples of a show literally erasing a family member. She didn't move away, wasn't killed off, didn't go to college. She simply vanished, and the Winslows went on without her as if she had never been there at all. For fans watching reruns today, it's shocking, confusing, and still sparks heated debates online. Judy became more than a character. She became a symbol of how TV can rewrite reality in an instant, removing someone from a story as if they were never part of it. It's one of those weird, unforgettable moments in sitcom history. A character so suddenly erased that viewers are still talking about it decades later. And honestly, that mystery, that sudden absence, is what keeps Judy Winslow alive in pop culture conversations, even if she isn't alive in the Winslow household. And if you thought Judy's disappearance was shocking, brace yourself. Coming up is the OG of TV vanishing acts, the first character to ever disappear without a trace, leaving fans baffled and coining a phrase that's still used today. Yep, number 1 is legendary. You won't believe how it all went down. Alright, before we reveal the ultimate number 1 vanishing act, the one that started it all, I've got to ask you, which character had you completely hooked, the one you couldn't get enough of? Drop your answer in the comments right now. And while you're at it, smash that like button and subscribe, because what's coming next is the TV disappearance you'll be talking about for days. Number 1, Chuck Cunningham, Happy Days.
I gotta go to basketball practice.
And finally, we've reached the OG, the one that started it all. I'm talking about Chuck Cunningham, Richie Cunningham's older brother on Happy Days. If you've ever heard the term Chuck Cunningham syndrome, congratulations. You already know how legendary this disappearing act is. But for those who don't, buckle up, because this is sitcom history in its purest, weirdest form. Chuck appeared in the very first 2 seasons, often just in the background. He'd be bouncing a basketball in the driveway, popping in for dinner, or serving as that classic older sibling figure. Steady, reliable, but not really the star of the show. He wasn't flashy. He didn't steal scenes. He was just there. Part of the family dynamic, quietly adding a layer of normalcy to the Cunningham household. And then, he vanished. Season 3 rolls around, and Chuck simply walks upstairs and never comes back down. Just like that. No explanation. No farewell episode. Not even a subtle nod in a line of dialogue. It's as if the writers collectively decided, you know what? We don't need him anymore. And the craziest part? The show never acknowledges it. Richie's older brother simply ceases to exist. The rest of the family carries on as if nothing has changed, like he was never there in the first place. This disappearance became so famous that TV fans actually coined a term for it: Chuck Cunningham syndrome. Anytime a character disappears without a trace, whether it's a sitcom, a drama, or any other type of show, people use that phrase. And it all started with this quiet, forgettable, yet unforgettable character. What's fascinating about Chuck's vanishing act is that it turned him into a legend. A character so unremarkable that his disappearance became more memorable than anything he ever did on screen. Shows erase characters for all kinds of reasons. Low ratings, cast chemistry, behind-the-scenes drama. But Chuck Cunningham? He became the ultimate symbol of how TV can literally rewrite its own reality, erasing someone from existence as if they were never part of it. And here's the thing. Every time you rewatch those early Happy Days episodes, it's impossible not to notice the gap. The family dynamics feel slightly off, like something is missing. And that, my friends, is Chuck's legacy. He's proof that sometimes the quietest characters leave the loudest voids, and that even the most forgettable figure can become a permanent part of TV history, just by disappearing. So, next time a character vanishes from your favorite show without warning, without explanation, remember Chuck Cunningham, the one who went upstairs and never came down. And honestly, he'll probably be remembered longer than half the stars who stayed. And there you have it. Crazy, right? If you had fun going down this nostalgic rabbit hole with me, don't go anywhere. We've got more weird, wild, and totally unbelievable TV moments to uncover. Together. Till next time.